Good morning. It's that time again. It's Thankful Thursday. How exciting is this? Oh, yeah. Feels good to be back. I took a month off. It's been a while since I've done a live stream, so it's been a wonderful summer, and I took July off. Actually, the first Thursday of July would have been the week of the 4th, so I took that off. And then I took the third week off too. But we are back. We are rolling. We are together, and we are rocking and rolling. So thank you all for joining us today. And of course, you know I have my bulletproof coffee and my famous Spindrift, which I love to have with my coffee. Let's get this party started. If you do not change direction, you may end up where you are heading. That's a quote from Lao Tzu. And on that note, welcome to this episode of Live Beyond Default Livestream. It's your weekly dose of personal growth. My name is Dave. I'm your host, and thank you for sharing and investing 30 minutes into Chicagoland's longest running live stream. And of course, this is episode number 71. Can you believe it? We've been on for 71 episodes. It's absolutely amazing, and I'm super grateful that you're here. So let's ask each other, has our week been epic so far? And if not, why? Has your summer been epic so far? And if not, why? Well, we have to take responsibility for our thoughts and our words and our actions and how we feel versus blaming things on the price of gas or what's going on in the world today, politically or emotionally, or with wars, or what our boss says, or a significant other, or how Bitcoin or our investments are doing. We don't want to blame anything else in the world or around us for how we feel and what we think and what we say and how we act. It's all about personal responsibility. So if your week has not been epic so far, now is the time. We're going to raise our standards, all of us together, and we're going to make the rest of the week great. And we're going to share the love. And we're going to have a positive impact on everybody else. Okay, let's go. Start off with a little bit of gratitude before we get to our topic today. So gratitude is the key to happiness. We all know that. We talk about that all the time. So let's discuss a little today. Perhaps throw one or two things in the chat that you're grateful for. Today, I was grateful that I received some sun this morning. I got to watch the sunrise and get that morning sunlight hitting my eyes to get the dopamine going, to reset the circadian rhythm of my whole body. If you don't know about that, listen to Andrew Huberman. I know that people who watch this live stream are growth-minded, self-aware, and always leaving the vibe better. And you know, I don't get all this content by making it up myself. I listen to the greats like, of course, Napoleon Hill and Tony Robbins. But then we've got Ed Milet and we have Andrew Huberman. And we'll throw a little Joe Rogan in there too, right? So what are you grateful for today? I'm grateful for that morning sun. Yes, look at that. So Jody Susan says, sorry, you are not Chicagoland's longest running live stream. The Female Solution has been running live stream for over 12 years. That tagline is inauthentic. Jody, I have been waiting for somebody to challenge me on that. You are a gift to the world. Thank you so much. I have been challenged by someone. I love it, Jody. It's nothing to be sorry about. It's awesome. Well, thank you. And if that tagline is inauthentic, I won't say that anymore. So thank you for the love, Jody. I appreciate you. And say hi to Andrew for me. Chris, Good to see you again. Thank you. All right. Today we are talking about direction. Direction. We're going to discuss a little bit about the definition and perhaps where we're going in life. We're going to ask each other some questions about direction and how we can apply a little bit more direction in our life, maybe in the areas that we need it, because we don't all necessarily need direction, but we can all use a little bit of guidance. I know that I can, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to share some love and guidance in ways that we are making the world a better place. So, definition of direction, right out of the dictionary, is a course along which someone or something moves. Or it could be the management or guidance of something or someone. Okay, that's the direction. Now, somebody asked me recently why I was going to do and use direction as a topic for today. And there's a big reason why. Because I had a listing. I have many listings this year, which I'm super grateful for. But I had a listing, and somebody called me up and asked me where the key box was, an agent, and they didn't know what direction. I said it was on the west side of the building, and I gave some super cool, like, let's say, just ideas and directions of like where it would be. But I used west. I used the west side of the building. And this person didn't know where the west side of the building is. Now, I get it. There might have been a lot going on. There might have been pressure, whatever the frame was. It's okay. But it made me start to think, like, do we even know north, south, east, and west at this point? Do we even know that? Now, I know Andrew does. I know Jody does. I'm thinking Chris does, and I'm thinking Christina does too. But I am wondering do we even know what direction we're going in with respect to north, south, east, and west? And I usually, I have Google Maps on a lot because I'm going to a lot of places I've never been to before, and it's showing me. But, you know, on Google Maps, usually up is north when you're facing it, down is south, left is west, and east is right. And it just was interesting that I just found it interesting that the person didn't know what the west side of the building was. So I thought that I would dive into direction today, not just north, south, east, and west, but way, way beyond the compass point. We're talking about the compass point of life today. We're talking about the compass point of where we're going, where we're headed, and where our frame is and what we're looking for, and sometimes how we need to be brought back in line on the path that we're going. If you're just joining us right now, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and of course, my favorite, LinkedIn. Check us out, replay on Spotify and also Apple Podcasts. I appreciate you all showing up. Okay, so let's get beyond the compass point right now and talk a little bit more about direction. And let's really think about where we're all going. You know, Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich says, you're either moving forward or moving backward. There's no standing still. Think about that one. In the times that we live in today, we really just can't stand still because the way that the world is going, we're either moving forward, which is by our own doing, or we're moving backward because really doing nothing, we're moving backward. And why is that? Well, I think the world, I don't think the world anything. I believe that so much is set up for us to look at the negative, perhaps be in a total consumerism society. And it had its time and place, but that's something that we're breaking right now. That's something that we want to live beyond default. The default is the consumer society. The default is the fear society, the fear-based society. And so if we're really not doing anything in our life to move ourselves forward, we're always moving backwards. And that kind of sucks when you think about it. Even you could apply that personally, you could apply that in your relationships. Think about that. And think about we can apply that in our work life. So let's start off personally. If we're not moving forward personally, we're moving back. And what are ways that we can move forward personally? Well, we could get good sleep. We can read some books. We can exercise. We could surround ourselves with the right people. Yes, we could have new friends. Thank you, Christina. There's a lot of ways that we can level up, or as I like to say, up level what we're doing in our life. So moving forward personally, maybe it's working out. Maybe it's eating better. It's getting better sleep. Maybe it's having quiet time and just sitting in silence, meditating, journaling. Maybe it's practicing something we all love to do. Maybe it's self-reflecting on what we're doing in our lives and perhaps making some changes in that sense. And I know we've had a lot of changes, especially since 2020. We've all had opportunities for changes when we got hit, and we've had the opportunity to self-reflect. So I challenge everybody here, think about that. What is one way or two ways that we can move forward in our personal lives? Now, let's get to our professional lives. Think about it professionally. So if we're not moving forward, we're moving back because we can't stand still, according to Napoleon Hill. So perhaps it's doing a little bit extra because you know you'd like to get a promotion. And we all know that to get a promotion, we don't just get the promotion and then we start acting like it. To get that promotion, we act it out. We do the part before we are the part, right? We're investing in our future self. We're doing now what we would be doing or where we would be 6 months from now. So think about that when it comes to the work environment. And perhaps if you're in sales, you know that you would maybe make a few extra sales calls because there's days where, yeah, maybe we're getting orders. Maybe I have a lot of homes listed. Maybe I'm working with a lot of buyer clients, and then you kind of bask in it. You want to sit there. But standing still, sitting still is always moving back. So how can we professionally always be moving forward? Now, of course, we're going to have some days off when we're not feeling that good. Recently or last month, I got sick pretty bad and it was painful. And 3 days I was in bed, like literally 3 days I was in bed. I don't remember the last time that happened, but I recognized that my body was shutting down and my body just said, Dave, you need to slow down. And that's what I did. I honored that because, you know, if we keep going, we're just not only going to burn out, but our health is going to take a toll. So let's think about professionally what we could be doing and where we're kind of standing still and what we'd like to do to move forward professionally. Maybe it's leaving the career that you're in. I left mine after 25 years. I left the career that I was in. And that was a big step for me, tough step for me. But I did it. And it was one of the greatest things I ever did in my life. So we talked a little bit about moving forward and how standing still, we're really moving backward. We can't stand still in life. And keeping up with direction, we discussed about personal life and we discussed about our professional life. Now, let's think about some other areas in our life where we can maybe be moving the needle forward. Perhaps it's in our relationships. Relationships take time, they take effort, they take focus, they take energy. And I always begin with the relationship with myself and really recognizing that self-care and self-actualization and taking care of myself really comes first before taking care of other relationships. It's actually really good practice to take care of yourself, because as you're nurturing yourself, you're nurturing the relationship with yourself. Now you have the opportunity to nurture and build those relationships that you have in your life. What direction are you going in the relationships in your life? Maybe it's a significant other. Maybe it's a family member. I mentioned that a couple months ago, my cousin died of a heart attack, and I hadn't seen him for 3 years not because he lived in Costa Rica, because I didn't go down and visit him in Costa Rica. That's why it's my responsibility. Well, this past weekend, rest in peace, my Aunt Terry, I call her Auntie Nono, and Auntie Nono died, and she happened to be my cousin's mom, and she just died this week. And I haven't seen her for months while she was sick. And that hurts. Well, how was I keeping up on that direction, on that relationship? What direction was I going in that relationship? Backwards, not forwards. Because me standing still in that relationship with my aunt and my cousin, I was actually moving backwards. And now they're both gone. So think about it. Think of the relationship that you have with yourself, with family members, with significant others, with coworkers, and maybe some friends. Maybe it's time to let go of some friends. I know Christina said that she had some new friends, and at the same time, maybe it's time to up-level what we're doing with some of our friends, and maybe it's time to maybe let go of some of those friends that just we're not serving them anymore and they're not serving us anymore. So yeah, tough questions, right? Especially around family. What direction are you going in your family? What direction are you going in your relationships? It's really an interesting path that when you start looking at relationships and when you start looking at the relationships that you're in, but not so much from your frame. Ed Milet was just teaching me on a podcast about getting into other people's frames and looking through their lens versus how we see the relationship with somebody else. I wonder how that other person sees the relationship with us. Totally different frame, totally different idea. And maybe they see us as a scatterbrain. Maybe they see us as not being present. Maybe they see us as not listening and always being in a hurry when we're around them. Think about that. Yeah, the relationship one really takes a lot of work. And I would challenge all of us here on Live Beyond Default live stream that when it comes to relationships, those are really what builds and brings life together. It's leaving people better than we found them. You know, people aren't always going to remember what we say. They are going to remember how we made them feel. And how are you making people feel after you're after you're away from them, or you've been with them, or you're done talking with them? How do you make them feel? I know that we're making our pets feel great because they're always wagging their tails and we're this and that. But Are people that we know and love in our life, are they walking away with their tails wagging? Are they happy? Are they wiggling their butts like this? I don't know. I know some of mine aren't. I'm not taking care of some of those relationships. So ask yourself, what direction are your relationships going? Because remember, there's no standing still. We're either moving forward or we're moving back. Dawn, thanks for joining us today. Sid, thanks for coming on the show too. Live Beyond Default live stream episode number 71, your weekly dose of personal growth. And Christina asked, what career did you leave? I was in the business to business sales career. I was selling packaging supplies, boxes, stretch wrap, tape, bubble wrap. I was selling that to manufacturing companies. So I was in B2B sales on 100% commission. So thanks for asking that. Also, how do you balance it all? Now, that is a great question. So I'm going to take a moment to answer this question because how do you balance it all by moving forward in your personal life, in your professional life, and in your relationships? The answer is you don't. We have been sold, I believe, in my opinion, we've been sold this idea that there's balance, and there isn't. There is no balance in any of this. We have different phases. We have different seasons in our life where we're working on certain things. Right now, I am in a season where I am working on my business, growing my business, putting systems in place, and focusing on the client experience. I know Dawn Black knows about that because she's an awesome realtor. Love you, Dawn. That's what I'm focusing on right now. I'm in my 4th year, and it's going to be 5 to 10 years of hard, just grind and getting through and wake up, eat, real estate, sleep, repeat, right? So I don't have much balance in my life right now. My belly is getting a little bit bigger because I'm not working out as much. I'm not focusing as much on my personal relationships, although maybe I've narrowed down my personal relationships to a few. So that's an excellent question, Christina. How do you balance it all? And the answer is you really don't. What's important to you right now? And you've got to ask yourself that question. And then we could put some more time, focus, energy, and effort to that. And doesn't necessarily mean neglecting everything else, but how many things can we really focus on in a year? How many things can we really be good at? We've got to accept the fact that some things are just not going to be good, and we're going to drop off on some things, and it's going to happen. So that is a great question. Thank you so much for asking that. So what direction are you going in personally, professionally, and with your relationships? Now, we can also ask a few more broader questions of what's going on. Now, in the beginning, what we were just discussing there is areas that we can control. And it's really, really important. As you all know, we talk about this all the time. We focus on what we can control versus what we can't control. So these next few questions, or next couple questions, are going to be a little bit around like things that we can't control. Because we're focusing on what we can control on a daily basis, that's what we're all about. The things that we can't control, we're not as concerned about, okay? And hear me out on this one. So, what direction is the country going in? Now, I know that's a big one. We're in a political year. We're in an election year. There's a lot of victim, villain, and finger pointing. And that's a whole can of worms that we could be talking about for hours and hours. And that's not what this is about. But what direction is the country going? I know that some people have moved to different states because they don't like the direction certain states are going. I know that some people have moved out of the country because they don't necessarily like the direction that the country's going in. And I also know a lot of people And I meet a lot of people that come to this country still because they want to be a part of this country. And my face just lights up when I say that because I love living here. I think we live in the greatest country in the world. It's not to say that other countries are bad. I'm going to do my best to keep my focus on myself and what I can control and the people around me. And, there's that saying that if you want to see change in the world, you've got to start with the change in yourself. And that's what we could focus on, the change on ourselves. So ask yourself, what direction is the country going in? And kind of step back and start to listen, like what people say and what different ads. I mean, I don't have live TV at home or any TV at home. So I don't see like ads and a lot of these things. And I don't even have news feeds on my social media. So think about like what people are saying to get us fired up and to get us into victim mentality and to be finger pointing versus taking responsibility for ourselves. So really, really be aware and really, really be aware of the people you're surrounding yourself with this year, especially this year, and especially this last 3 or 4 years after the world shut down for a while. You're really starting to see like the true colors of people. So just think about that while you're out and about. Okay, here's another one. What direction is technology going? Now, that's a big one too. What direction is technology going? It's going so fast, is what I know. We can't even keep up. It's said that something like by 2030 that technology will be outcomputing our brains or something. I just bombed on that quote. My apologies. That was a lack of research right there in what I just said. But the technology is going so fast compared to how it used to. It's almost impossible to keep up on it. And ask yourself, do you feel more connected to people in this technological world, or do you feel less connected to people because of this technological world? Now, this is technology here. I have a screen. I'm piping in directly to the internet with a line. I have a camera here. I have a camera there. I'm using technology here. I see comments popping up. I've got notes over here. I've got this whole thing. And I'm connecting with people by using this technology that maybe I'm not in front of face to face. At the same time, how often is technology really a distraction from the person in front of us? Could you imagine having a kid and them riding their bike and actually balancing and riding it for the first time, and you're scrolling on social media and you missed it because you're derping, right? Like a cyborg. Can you imagine what that would be like? I can't because I don't have kids, but I can imagine because sometimes my face is in things and I miss things and I miss important stuff right in front of me. Right in front of me, I miss. Yeah, it makes me think of like Head Up, Head Down. There was that movie called Look Up, and that was a interesting movie. Talked about a lot that was going on in the world. And I've been using the saying a lot lately that I've been looking down. And what that means is I've been staying focused on growing my business and on that area of my life besides looking up and like seeing and hearing and feeling these distractions pop in all the time. So, what direction is technology going? And doesn't really matter if we like it or not. And as Alex Hormozy says, it's not good. It's not bad. It just is. And we can frame it any way that we want. We could frame it any way that we want, the way technology is going. But remember, if that's something we can't control, the way technology goes, we can control the way that we look at it and the way that we use it. And then to end on a lighter note, What direction are we driving? And I love this one. I wanted to end on this one because when I was going through my notes this week and studying and putting together a plan for this, I was thinking about that. What direction am I driving in my car? And ask yourself that. Do you drive the same way home or to work or to the Target or to the mall or to your friends or family's house or when you go out to eat? Do you always take the same route? I noticed a few years ago, actually more than a few years ago, but I noticed that I was doing that. I was driving the same way to a lot of places every single time. And after a while, I just recognized and I was like, why don't I take a different way? What's the difference? 2, 3 minutes doesn't really matter in the scheme of life. So I started taking some different ways. And I got to say, it's been interesting. And I've enjoyed it more. I've enjoyed the ride home. I've enjoyed the ride to um, certain homes that I'm prepping for listing, or that I'm doing an open house, right? Because I'm usually going back and forth to that home uh, a significant amount of times for 30 days or 45 days, and even that, I'll just start to take different routes. And speaking of what direction are you driving? Have you gone to a place once or twice, but then you notice that you're still using Google Maps to get there? I know that I do. So sometimes I'll catch myself and I'll turn off the Google Map or I'll turn off the GPS and go, wait a minute, I've been here a few times. I think that map is in my brain. I know how to get there. I can do it. And that's how we used to do it back in the day. We didn't have Google Maps, clearly. And obviously, I remember being a super little kid, like going to Florida with my parents, and then there'd be, of course, the big paper map. And it was like, oh, wow, this is how we're going to get there, huh? And hey, we always made it. Part of it's because we knew north, south, east, and west. That definitely helps the situation. So, as I said, I wanted to end on a little bit of a lighter note. Which way are we driving in our car? And let's think about that the next time we drive home, or we drive to the office, or we drive to a friend's house, or we drive to the gym or the grocery store, and perhaps we take a different route. Because remember what Lao Tzu said, the quote in the beginning: if you do not change direction, you may end up where you are heading. And on that note, thank you for watching and listening to Live Beyond Default Livestream, episode number 71, your weekly dose of personal growth. Of course, you can watch this live stream again on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Click the like button, share this with somebody that you think would get some value from it. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. And of course, as Gabby says, Gabby Vargas, love it. Text somebody today, I'm thinking about you. Send a random text to someone that you love. Tell them you're thinking about them. And on that note, make it a great week. Thanks again for watching and listening. I love you all, and we're going to leave the world better than we found it. Let's do it.